Hi guys, this is Garrett Smith with a video on Nike shoes are made to fall apart in less than 1 year. So you have to buy a new pair. How do I know this? Is this a conspiracy theory? No, this is what Nike says. I had a pair of shoes that fell apart. I mentioned about it on Twitter. Nike said that I should call in. This deal of the shoes falling apart in a year is no good, so I need to call in this 800 number. I did so, and a large portion of that very long phone call is at the end of this video. And the person said, well, the Nike shoes should last 2 to 3 years under normal usage, and then she kind of changed around and said maybe 1 to 2 years, and then, well, it kind of depends on what you're doing with them. But I got an email back from Nike. So what happened is that she told me I got to go down to the post office, package them up, send them in. I have to pay for everything. Asked her, well, can I just take them down to the Nike store and show them that the shoes fell apart and say, yeah, your shoes fell apart. I haven't had them that long, and maybe only a year. Why don't you just give me a new pair? Let me swap these out. They're designed to last more than a year, aren't they? So she said, oh, no, we don't do that way. You got to go down to the post office, pay for the shipping, send it in to us, and then we'll make the decision about it there. So they have to have their experts analyze the product to make sure that it was indeed defective. Okay, that's a key word, defective. that implies that there's a certain design to the shoe that it's supposed to perform under. And if it does not perform under those design parameters, then it can be deemed defective. So after sending the shoe into Nike, I got a response via email. It says, unfortunately, after a thorough inspection of your product, we've determined that the issue is a result of normal wear and tear. With that, we can't consider this a material or manufacturing flaw per our return guidelines, and we're unable to issue a product voucher. There you have it. Nike shoes are designed to fall apart within less than a year. This is normal. And the reason this has got me so angry here is that when you understand about the garbage situation, there's a huge issue with garbage. It's way too much garbage, and it's causing a lot of issues with the environment. We have the Great Pacific Garbage Patch in the Pacific Ocean, which is one of the 3 major trash vortexes. It's like 3 times the size of Texas. This thing is huge. And it's not something that can easily be cleaned up. The National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration's Marine Debris Program estimated that it would take 67 ships 1 year to clean up less than 1% of the North Pacific Ocean. It's a lot of trash. We also have the issue of me having to pay more for another pair of shoes. So it's not just me, it's everybody who buys Nike shoes. So this is on purpose. They have a product life cycle, and they're going to employ people to work on manufacturing a new design for a new shoe with a new style that you better be wearing, because you don't want to be walking around with old worn out shoes. You got to get a brand new pair and have the latest fashion. It's getting into consumerism and planned obsolescence. They're planning for these shoes to fall apart and getting you to buy a new one. Why? That's not for your benefit. You got to pay more money to get a new pair of shoes. That's for the benefit of Nike, so that Nike can keep this whole line of productivity going up, and they can keep their stock price going up and keep sales up. It's definitely not for the worker. The engineers would probably like to be building high-quality shoes that last a long time. That's a good engineering solution. Sure, they'd like to do that. People who are performing labor to produce the shoe, would probably also like to produce a high-quality shoe that they know is going to provide a lot of customer satisfaction, that people will get hours and hours and many more hours of enjoyment than a few months out of the shoe. And those people would also like to have their time. So instead of, say, working 8 or 10 or however many hours a day they're working in whatever country they're working in, maybe they can work 4 hours a day or 3 hours a day and have the rest of their time to worry about other problems, maybe things that interest them. Anyway, there's a lot of issues that are caused by this very greedy and destructive process that Nike says is their design, and which they also call sustainable. So here's Nike, and they say that sustainability is a catalyst for revolutionizing the way Nike Inc. does business. Wow. By innovating better solutions to create a limitless future that benefits athletes, the company, and the world. That is just something. That is fantastic. Look at that. So we have more garbage, people working more and more, and people having to go and buy another pair of shoes because Nike designs them so that they will fall apart, literally with holes in them, in less than 1 year. And Nike says, this is by design. Okay, Nike sends me an email and says, this is deliberate, this is normal. Now, how much usage are we talking about? That's a good question. We're talking about wearing the shoe for about 2 miles a day, mostly walking, a little bit of running once in a while, and about 8 months, it's getting a hole in the top. So, let's see, 8 months, approximately 30, 31 days a month. That's about 250 days, right? 2 miles a day, on average. It's about 500 miles. 500 miles, and the shoe's falling apart. This is by design. Interesting. This is sustainable. Interesting.
With the way the shoe is made. And if it is, we will then send you out a product voucher so you can then purchase any item for the, it'll be for the full suggested retail price of these exact shoes. And then you can purchase whatever you would like off of our website, Nike.com.
Can I just bring those into the store?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend trying the store because, like I said, if they're able to help you out, they'll just go ahead and either do like a refund or an exchange right then and there in the store. So that's always the quickest way to go.
So I don't have the receipt, and I bought the shoes about probably about a year ago. So there's a Nike store in my city. I don't know if I could just walk in there and show it to them. I don't know what the deal is with that.
Well, I mean, you can definitely maybe an option. It's just that since they weren't purchased there,
right.
I can guarantee if they would be able to help you, that's what our claims process is for.
Right. Okay. So the claims process is for mail. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. So if you'd like, I can go ahead and get you set up with a claim and then send you an email with all the instructions and everything to get them in. Okay. So do you happen to have the shoes with you right now?
Yeah, I do.
All right. I just need a little bit of information off of the sizing tag if you don't mind looking at that for me.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready, let's start with the size.
11.5.
5.5, okay. And then underneath all those sizes, you're going to see 2 dates. Can I get the date on the right-hand side, please?
06 24 14.
Okay. And then in between those 2 dates, you're going to see a style and color number. It's going to be 6 numbers with a dash and then 3 more.
Okay. 685 286 dash 002.
Perfect, thank you. So all that I need over that tag, let me just get that style number in my system. Make sure that I have the right one. Give me just a second here.
That tag is almost worn off. It's actually difficult to read it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm glad we got all the information on it. That's always good. Alright, so this is the Nike Rocher 1 Winters, is that right?
I don't know. They're black and they're super flimsy.
Okay. And it looks like the suggested retail price is $85. Does that sound about right?
It was between somewhere like around 60 to 80, I think.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It was somewhere around that price.
Okay. Alright, well, if your claim is approved, that's exactly how much will be on your voucher.
Okay.
Now, when you send the shoes into us, make sure, of course, to send in both shoes left and right. That way, of course, we can look at both of them.
Yeah.
And then also make sure to grab a tracking number. That way, you can just keep an eye on them while they're on their way to us. And as soon as you see that we have received them, give it at most 5 business days for that inspection.
Okay.
And I literally do mean at most. Usually, it's done well within that time period. And we'll send you an email letting you know that decision as soon as we come to it, okay?
Okay, that sounds okay. I just have a question about the process. How do I get the shoes to you guys?
Well, you would send them into us, like in a box. You go through the post office or UPS or anything like that. That's totally up to you.
Oh, so it's my obligation to get the shoes into you guys.
What we do is that you pay that initial shipping. That way we can do the inspection. Everything after that, we of course will pay for.
So you're going to pay for the shipping.
I'm sorry, what was that?
So Nike is going to pay for the shipping.
Well, no, I'm saying that you would pay for the initial shipping to get the shoes into us. Everything after that, we would pay for.
Well, I don't like that. How much is that going to cost?
It really depends on what you go through. I personally always recommend the post office. Like if you have like the flat rate shipping boxes is usually the cheapest way to go. And for these size shoes, you might be able to fit them in like a medium, and I think that's like less than $10.
Am I going to be reimbursed for that?
We do not reimburse for the initial shipping. Like I said, we do ask you to pay for that. Everything after that. So if the claim is denied and we send the shoes back, we will pay for that. And then any shipping on Nike.com with that voucher is going to be paid for by us.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's the best you have to offer.
So can I get a good mailing and shipping address? That way we know where to send everything.
I'll give you my shipping address is 1645 Fulton Street, Folsom, Route 12, San Francisco, California, 94106. Yeah, that's correct.
All set with your claim. You're going to get that email from me within about 5 minutes. That's going to have your claim number, of course, our Memphis, Tennessee address, and all of the instructions, everything that we just went over the phone. Okay.
Great. I have a question. Do you know what the expected life of this shoe is? Like,
I'm sorry, what was that?
how long were these shoes? What was the product life cycle design? How long were these shoes designed to last for?
Well, we don't really have like a specific like date, like a specific time frame on how long a shoe is supposed to last.
Okay.
Because a lot of that goes into like what they're being used for, how often they're being worn, stuff like that. So I mean, if you're just using this as like a casual shoe, they should of course last longer than like you said, about a year or so. So I mean, that's why we want to take a look at it. We do our process for up to 2 years from that date of manufacturing. So I mean, if you only have them for a short period of time, we definitely want to take a look at it and see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get an idea about how long the shoe is supposed to last, because when I purchased the shoe, it did seem very flimsy, and as did all of the other shoes. And in the research that I've been looking online, I found that there are other people who are complaining about this issue as well, that the shoes are designed to fall apart. And as I was telling you, I found somebody who was talking about Converse shoes and sustainability, which again, I don't like the term sustainability, but because it's meaningless, it doesn't really mean anything anymore. But when we're talking about a shoe, like how long should a shoe last? And when I'm looking at some of these shoes, in my own personal experiences, and my knowledge of various things such as light bulbs, which are designed to go bad, toner cartridges, Dell computers, where they want you to buy a new Dell instead of trying to find the drivers for the latest version of Windows. There's a lot of times I find that there's situations where the customer is urged to buy something new rather than have something that's going to last longer, and that the only benefit is to the company that's actually selling the new one, which is really not of any benefit to the customer, because now I'm walking around with holes in my shoes and I look like I'm too poor to afford a pair of shoes. So it almost looks like, well, the easiest thing for me to do right now is just to throw these away and then go buy a new pair. Well, that's there's some consequences to that beyond the immediate consequences that I have a new pair of shoes. One, I'm out some money. The other consequence is that Nike gets some money. The other consequence is that the people who are building these shoes and designing the shoes to last for a certain amount of period of time, are still working to do that. There's people who are designing products to last a certain amount of time, and they have to continually do that and work on this rather than making something that's going to last for a long period of time. So it looks like there's quite a lot of things involved in the whole product life cycle beyond the initial aspect of, oh, there's a hole in my shoe, I better get some new ones. There's a little more once you scratch beneath the surface. So I'm a little bit concerned about how long these shoes are actually designed to last for.
Well, yeah, and I wish I had more of a specific, time frame and something like that. But like I said, there's a lot of things that come in handy. I mean, come into consideration when, you're talking about the life cycle of a shoe. Because like I said, if you have a pair of shoes and you're using them for what they're intended to be used for, and they're not excessive wear and tear on the shoe itself and stuff like that. Of course, it really depends on the person wearing it, where they're wearing them for, how often they're wearing it. So we can, make a shoe last, say, okay, so this shoe should last, let's say, 2 to 3 years. And then somebody comes to wear them, they wear them every day, they wear them all day long, they're wearing them to work, they're running around in them. That could something like that could make them last only like a year or two. So it really kind of depends on, like I said, the person wearing them and what they're used for. So we like I said, we do our process for up to 2 years from any flaw, because usually if there's any flaw with the way the shoe is made, of course it's going to show up right away, if not, within that 2-year time frame. So that's why we have a process this way. If you do purchase something and you've only had it for a little bit, it's very light wear, of course we want to look at it and say, okay, maybe something that we did that we missed a quality check, and that way we can take that into consideration and of course make our product better.
Right, sure. It draws into many variable questions of the subjectivity of what light wear constitutes, and also what is expected, and what is a defect? Is it considered a defect? This is just, it brings in so many other questions, and should if the shoe is worn every day, should it only last a year? It almost sounds like the indication that I was getting from you, it sounded like that maybe heavy use would be just wearing the shoe every day, and then that would be heavy use.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that, like you said, if you take a shoe and it's made as like a casual shoe and you start, running in them, of course that's going to break the shoe down, faster than if it was an actual running shoe. Okay. I'm not saying that wearing them every day is going to be consistent with heavy use on the shoe itself.
Okay.
I'm just using that as an example. As if you take like 2 people and they have the exact same shoes, they have the same size, they walk the same. If one person is wearing them every day and the other person's only wearing them once a week, the person that's wearing them every day is going to, of course, wear those out faster than the one guy that's wearing them once a week. That's just the example that I was making.
Right.
That if you wear a shoe every day, it's going to wear out within like a year or two. No, I've had shoes, the ones that I'm actually wearing, I've had for about 2 years now, a little bit over that, and I wear them every day. I walk in them, I walk to work, everything, and they're still fine on my feet. So, like I said, it really just kind of depends on the shoe itself, what it's used for, and of course the person wearing it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, okay. I guess there's many different variables and factors involved. It's not like a set of tires where they have a limited set of miles, or a light bulb where it has a limited set of hours. With a shoe, there's different factors and variables involved in it, aren't there?
Yeah, and I mean, that's why we have our process. That way, it's not just be like, okay, so you had these shoes for like 2 months, we're just going to go ahead and reimburse it. We want to look at it. We want to see, of course, kind of the wear on the shoe. If we, of course, made the mistake, to kind of go from there. Like I said, look at everything, all the variables, and then take that in consideration.
That's great. I really appreciate that you're taking the time with me on this, and you're explaining everything to me very clearly. So I will be waiting for that email and following up on this. Thank you.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for giving us a call here tonight. You have a fantastic rest of your day, okay?
Great. Thank you. You too. Dude, I record that shit. I will sue them. This is like class action material. This is class action material. Someone can make flimsy shoes that are designed to fall apart. Bullshit.